In an insane under-16 football match between high schoolers of Japan and what looks like Germany, the match has gone to extra time. Japan gets a free kick right outside the box, and Aoyama, the main man of the team, scores. Everything is great, the crowd goes wild, and the Japanese players jump to celebrate, but Aoyama evades each one. You see, Aoyama may seem like an extremely talented player, but he is also a massive germaphobe, a cleanliness maniac. He wants his surroundings clean, and by clean, I mean not even a speck of dust around him clean. When he is not a part of the national teams, Aoyama is actually a normal student in Fujimi High School. He is also a part of the football team in that school, and yes, he is still a germaphobe like always. Class seat, blackboards, windows, toilet seats, you name it. Aoyama will clean everything. In the school, Aoyama is quite popular considering his national team status, and the girls flock to him every time he heads for practice. Unlike a regular player, Aoyama doesn't go straight to practice. He starts his practice with his 20-minute hand-washing routine, and then, only then, he starts practicing alongside his teammates. While everyone on the team is very chill and pretty much worships Aoyama for choosing their school, his teammate Kaoru Zaizen is not so welcoming of the guy. He thinks, pretty obviously, that having a player that spends 20 minutes before the game cleaning the ball itself will not be of much help. Even though the coach, Miwa, is pretty confident of Aoyama's skills, Kaoru thinks the team is at a disadvantage with Aoyama on the team. He is correct, to be honest. Aoyama doesn't contest for tackles, he doesn't get physical, and his game lacks every good feature of the game. After the practice, Kaoru returns back to the club room to find a weird girl trying to break in. She quickly runs away after seeing him. Kaoru Zaizen then looks into the clubhouse to see Aoyama. He had stayed back after practice to thoroughly clean every single ball so that the next day they were clean so that he wasn't bothered by the lack of hygiene. Kaoru is weirded out. Seriously, who wouldn't be? The next day, the students from Oshigama Minami High School arrive to play a friendly match against the Fujimi High School students. The captain of their team, Takechi, is an extremely passionate footballer and, not to mention, a really weird fan of Aoyama. Like, really, really weird. He has tried and still tries to convince Aoyama to join his school instead, but Aoyama rejects the offer as he thinks there is something special in the school that he's currently in. Takeshi tries to flex his abs for some reason, probably thinking that it's going to attract Aoyama that way, but Aoyama doesn't like men, or women to be honest, he just likes cleanliness. Having been rejected multiple times now, Takeshi decides that he will prove Aoyama by beating the Lamb team that he was now a part of. The match was finally getting heated up. In the first few minutes, Fujimi School is already down by 1 goal. Takechi scores it and obviously flexes his abs, but once Aoyama gets the ball, the whole scenario changes within seconds. He scores 2 goals while avoiding getting touched by the opponents, the kind of skill that even Messi and Ronaldo dream of having. Aoyama has got it all: the skill, the evasion, and the shot. By halftime, Fujimi School is 2-1 up. Oshigami Minami High School team changed their tactic come the second half. Since only Aoyama is the good player on the team, all they had to do was stop him from getting the ball. Their plan surprisingly works, and Takechi scores a goal once more. Even with half the opponents focusing on Aoyama, the rest of the Fujimi team failed to score. Kaoru even skies a ball. So much for calling Aoyama the lackey on the team, he can't even score an open goal. To make matters worse, it starts raining, and the ground gets muddy and dirty. Aoyama can't stand that. Actually, he can't even move. Takechi and his men were at the advantage, and the lead now becomes 3-2 on Oshigami Minami High School's behalf. Kaoru goes to check if Aoyama is injured, but the lad just doesn't want to get his perfect clean and shiny clothes dirty. The last 5 minutes of the game is finally here, and if they didn't do something now, the game was surely done for. Surprisingly, unlikely to his character, Aoyama doesn't mind the dirtiness around him and attacks the ball with great passion, because there is something he hates more than germs, and that's losing. In the end, the game ends 6-2. They end up scoring 4 goals in the last 5 minutes. Now, that looks more like poor defending rather than Aoyama's skills, but a win is a win. So much drama takes place in the last 5 minutes, but still, at the end of it, Aoyama evades everyone who tries to celebrate with him. If every person was this careful during the pandemic, we could have possibly avoided the whole 2020 COVID fiasco. The girl who is trying to lockpick her way into the football team's changing room turns out to be Moka Goto, a childhood friend of Aoyama who has serious confidence issues. She thinks that since she was a nobody and Aoyama was like a literal icon in the school, there's no way he would remember her. She, however, can't seem to forget the day the two met and how her life changed after that. Like always, after the boys leave the changing room, Aoyama begins his cleaning. This dude is literally obsessed with keeping things neat and tidy. This time though, Moka is spying on him. When the boys come back from practice, not only is the room clean as always, all of their clothes are clean and folded too. Aoyama didn't do this for sure, as he would rather die than touch someone else's clothes. The boys decide to ignore the whole thing, but the same thing happens not once, not twice, but 7 times throughout the whole week. With no other person being so obsessed with cleanliness than Aoyama, and him clearly stating that it wasn't him who did it, the guys decide that it must be a fairy. Yeah, these guys are educated high schoolers all right. It turns out that Mako had been cleaning the room and doing all the chores so that Aoyama could focus on the game. Kinda weird, but sweet at the same time. No, actually, just weird. When she is caught, the team doesn't even feel embarrassed or lacking privacy. Instead, they thank her and ask her to help out the team. There's something wrong with these kids. Mako also finds out that Aoyama hadn't forgotten her either, and this makes her extremely happy and determined to help the team out any way she can. One day, when Aoyama is not around, one of his teammates, Jin Tsukamoto, the class nerd, sneaks in the smell of Aoyama's towels. The smell is so good that he cannot even explain it. Like the edgy teen he is, he quickly posts the details on his Twitter. The news spreads like wildfire across the school. If Aoyama fangirls and boys weren't mad yet, they certainly are mad now. The next practice match of the team is filled with students from all over the school. Lovers, haters, and general spectators, all of them are there. Even with a murder bat on her back, Mako can't do much to prevent the crowd from jumping into the field to grab hold of Aoyama and his towels. A frustrated Karu scolds everyone and tells them to get off the pitch and let them play. His family is pretty rich, and so the others don't want to mess with him as he could get them out of school. I clarified this so that you guys don't think that Karu is some kind of a bully. His family is influential. There's a difference. Later that night, Karu is alone in the club changing room and wonders what's so special about the towels. He cringes at the thought that all his teammates had smelled Aoyama's towel without Aoyama knowing anything about it. Just then, a heavy wind blows in and the towel almost falls from Aoyama's locker, but Karu saves it from landing on the floor. Curious, he sneaks in a sniff. The wind changes, his eyes warm up, and life seems a bit brighter. Like the ads in a commercial for a perfume, Aoyama's towel reminds Karu of nostalgia, his childhood, and his mother. Suddenly, Aoyama comes in to clean the room and notices his teammate in the weirdest situation ever. He ignores the whole thing, and as Karu tries to explain, he simply tells the lad to burn the towel. The next game arrives, and this one is actually an important game. Takata Academy High School, the first game of the actual league that they were participating in. This meant everything, and they couldn't lose no matter what. Unfortunately for them, the other school also wanted to win pretty badly, and not everyone likes to play fairly by the rules. Realizing that the main player of the opponents is a massive germaphobe, they come up with a plan. On the day of the match, as expected, Aoyama is rigorously cleaning every nook and corner, every utensil, every bottle, and every ball of the school, when suddenly a girl asks for his help to clean some more stuff up. Aoyama agrees. The girl Kana turns out to be the girlfriend of the opposing team's captain, who locks him in the dirty locker room of the opponent team. Outside, the game begins, and the Fujimi school team is forced to begin without Aoyama. And yeah, as you guys predicted, without him, the team is absolutely pathetic and is already 2-0 down within the first half. Back at the locker room, Aoyama tries to get out without touching Kana, but she is blocking the only way out. On top of that, she starts stripping, hoping to make the situation look like an assault on her if anyone came by. She touches Aoyama on the shoulder, but she gets a reaction completely opposite of what she expected. The guy falls to the floor, unable to move at all. It wasn't exactly what she planned. It was even better. When there is half an hour left in the game, Mako suddenly arrives in the room with her murder bat on her shoulder. Apparently, she had checked every room in the entire school building to find them. If that's not love, then I don't know what is. After being rescued, Aoyama goes to the field a full 15 minutes later and proceeds to score 4 goals and also assists one to Karu. The game ends 5-2, with Fujimi School winning quite comfortably in the end. Not only had Aoyama won the match single-handedly, he had also arrived at the game 15 minutes later because he had stayed behind, despite being rescued, to clean the dirty locker room he had been locked in. What a man! In his school, while Aoyama is a germaphobe and a cleanliness nut, the whole thing is casual because he is famous and everybody knows about his situation. However, there is also another student who is similar to him, not quite famous, but a germaphobe. His name is Narita. Being a germaphobe brings in a lot of restrictions on both of their lives, and both of them deal with the whole thing a bit too different. While Narita likes to avoid confrontation and stay low, not letting others know of his situation, Aoyama is pretty much open about it. However, I don't think that is his choice, as pretty much every guy, girl, and even teacher follows Aoyama around maniacally. Narita also starts realizing that Aoyama is not so different from himself. They both are germaphobes, and they were both massive nerds. Turns out, both of these men play a weird-looking RPG game, probably from an illegal website where they do everything they can't do in the real world, like touching random stuff and being totally social and friendly to everyone. Their character inside the game and their nature outside of the game are totally different. It's almost frightening how different these men would be if even a simple touch from another person wouldn't have paralyzed them instantly. Narita realizes this and now knows that Aoyama is not so different from him. However, he still believes that his way of not revealing his germaphobe secret is better and decides to stay the hidden germaphobe for the rest of his high school life. The goals keep on coming for Fujimi School thanks to Aoyama, and the lad's popularity is also skyrocketing by the day. There are tons and tons of fans that gather to his games, and he also has a lot of cheerleaders for some reason. Not to mention Mako, who is always around him at all times. However, do you know what's more scary than the game you just won? The next game. Fujimi School is playing Minamida Fuzoku High School next, the same school where Jin Tsukamoto used to study before he transferred to Fujimi School. Now Jin, while being a nerd, is actually the main defense in the Fujimi School lineup. He doesn't really have a lot of skills when it comes to football, and is more like a class clown who is there to boost the morale of the team. He does, however, have one special skill that I don't think any player in the world possesses. Jin can juggle the ball infinitely with his butt. That's right, can Messi do that? Seriously, Jin can juggle the ball in his backside for like 100 times if you ask him. Minamida School, however, has some really bad memories that Jin wants to forget. Turns out that he was massively bullied and hated on for his goofy nature by the captain of Minamida School, Ryo Kadomatsu, so much so that Jin cannot even move when he is faced with the dude. One could say he was a Ryophobe. This becomes a huge disadvantage. When the game finally begins, the defense line is pretty much useless as Ryo Kadomatsu breaks in multiple times to score goal after goal. This brings a good lesson, kids. One man can't do everything on his own. With the defense failing, Aoyama can do nothing to keep his team from falling further behind, and the Fujimi School team are fortunate that the halftime whistle is blown. As soon as the whistle is blown, Jin rushes to the restroom and locks himself in one of the stalls, hoping that he gets substituted and the team can play better without him. However, when he comes out of the bathroom for just 1 second, probably because it was stinking, he finds that Aoyama was already there. The germaphobe was cleaning every single toilet booth. Seriously, someone stop this man! That's it for part 1. Part 2 will be coming right up tomorrow. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that subscribe and like button because we're about to reach 100,000 subs. Thanks!